भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Hari Om, salutations to all. So the lower Arni described in 12 to 14, and then 14 and 15 describe the upper Arni. And we saw that from this supreme consciousness, which is indicated by Pranava, the upper Arni, what appears, prana, mana, buddhi, sarvendriyani, 5 elements, they all appear, not produced, not modified. Consciousness does not produce the world, consciousness does not modify to become the world, consciousness appears as the world. And so the appearance is illusory. The truth is real. Substratum is real, superimposition is illusory. Now when we say illusory, we should remember one important aspect. What is illusory? Swamiji, world is illusory. We say world is illusory. Is this alone illusory? The objects, emotions and thoughts, if we say they are illusory, what about this experiencer? Illusory or real? The problem we have is, I am real, world is illusory. The small I is real. So if this small I is going through happiness, that is real. If small I is going through anger, that is real. But world is illusory. The reason why we are not able to understand or experience the illusory nature of the world is because we have excluded ourselves from that. So if I am real, my experiences will be appearing real only, not to me. And can I experience the world apart from my experience? No. So if my experience for me is real, the world for me will be real only. Intellectual information may be there, world is illusory, but my experience is very real. So world is real. So for some time the sadhana to be done is, I am illusory, world is illusory, both. Not that I am real, world is illusory. Then it will not work. How can my experience be illusory? It is changing, no? Continuously it is changing. The Sakshi in me is the changeless truth. What is the definition of real in Vedanta? That which is changeless in 3 periods of time is Sat. That which does not exist in 3 periods of time is Asat. But that which does not exist and yet appears to be is Mithya, illusory. This realm does not exist, but it appears to be. And whose appearance is it? Etasmat jayate. From this only. This is only appearing as this. So for some time the sadhana has to be, this is illusory, that is illusory. Then what is real? The Sakshi of the illusion is real. The Sakshi of the experiencer, experienced experience is real. I am that. So if these two are done together, then Vedanta is understood properly. The Sakshi is real. The experiencer experienced the experiencing. The experiencer experienced and the experience. All these three are illusory. That will come ahead also. But I am just clarifying, because when we speak of appearance, the first thing that the shloka says here, 15th mantra says is Etasma jayate pranaha manaha sarvendriyani. That is the individual. That individual is illusory. Then the next is what is said, Kham Vayur Jyotirapa Prithvi Vishwasya Dharini. That is also illusory. It is not really born. It is only an appearance. Then we saw the Mahavakya, number 16, mantra number 16. Yat Param Brahma, that which is the Supreme Brahman, which has no boundaries, no conditionings, which is Sarvatma, which is the self of all the beings. That is the only level at which we all are one. All of us have different bodies, different mind, different intellect, different vasanas. So our experience of the world is also different. We are one in what? This. That's why when we do Namaste, what does it mean? The self in you, the self in me is the same, so I bow down to the self in you. Sarvatma. Yat Param Brahma Sarvatma Vishwasya Ayatanam. It is the support of this entire universe, creation. Gurudev specifically says here that the word Mahat is to say that the infinite reality is so grand and mighty that in one small part of this whole creation is appearing. Vishwasya Ayatanam Mahat. It is much beyond this creation. Like what we see in Purusha Suktam, no? It very clearly says, Pado asya vishwa bhutani tripadasya amritam divi. Only 1/4 is this creation. 3/4 are in heaven, meaning divi means it is not manifesting. It is as it is, changeless. Only 1/4 is appearing as the changing world. Now don't think, अच्छा उसमें percentage भी कर दिया infinite में. 25% is appearing as the world, 75% is not appearing as the world. It's a figurative expression. To just say that this entire, in the rope and snake example, that is the limitation. The whole whole rope will appear as the snake. Not one part of the rope appears as the snake. Whole snake is nothing but that entire rope only. So Gurudev used to give the example of the waker and the dreamer. That in one small part of the brain, the dream is being perceived. Rest of the brain is not involved in the dream. So in one small part, as though the appearance is there. That also, please remember, is as though. It is not really that 1/4 has produced the creation. It's an appearance, as though. Meaning it is unaffected by this whole creation. One small part. Vishwasya Ayatanam Mahat. Sukshmat Sukshmataram. It is subtler than the subtlest. And we saw that subtlest in our context here is the mind and intellect, because of which even the space and time is experienced. When these are not functioning, time and space is not experienced, creation is not experienced. So this time and space, one who illumines that, if these are the subtlest in the finite realm, the illuminator of that is subtler than the subtlest. Meaning which remains even when they become absent. See, space experienced only when mind is there, right? No mind, no space. But no mind, no consciousness, does it happen? No. Even when mind is not there, consciousness is there. So what is subtler? Consciousness is subtler, which remains even without this mind and intellect. Sukshmat Sukshmataram. The philosopher said, Descartes, he said, I think so, I am. He derives the existence from thinking. I think so, I am. Vedanta says, no, I am, so I think, and I can be without thought. Sukshmat, sukshmataram, nityam. It is changeless, no modification in it. Eternal means no modification. And tat tvameva, tvameva tat. That you are and you are that. Meaning there is no difference between tat and tvam essentially. Wave and ocean are essentially water. From that standpoint of the essence, no difference. From the standpoint of the form, there is difference. Wave can never be equal to ocean because the limited pervasiveness of the wave, limited water it can hold. Ocean is so much more bigger. From standpoint of the form, it can never be same, but from standpoint of water, it is same. So tatvameva, tvameva tat means absolute oneness. This is one thing we should remember. I said in the morning, I am repeating again. Upanishad speaks about absolute oneness, not just oneness. Because oneness can be of different types. Like we have, I gave the example in the morning also. The parts of the body are different, but we still feel, I am this. Though the hand is different, leg is different, head is different, our sense of oneness pervades the whole thing. So there can be oneness in spite of plurality. Then there is oneness which is of part and whole. Because a part is one with the whole. No? Can the part exist without the whole? Cannot exist. So part is one with the whole, but there are many such parts. So that is another type of oneness. The amsha and amshi it is, part and the whole. Vedanta is not speaking about that type of oneness. What is Vedanta saying? You negate the forms, negate the upadhi of the part and the whole. Negate Jiva, negate Ishvara, Brahman is one only. So that absolute oneness is propagated by Vedanta. That's why the three schools of philosophy are all Vedanta only. Dvaita also is Vedanta. Okay, don't think Vedanta means only Advaita. Dvaita Vedanta, Vishishtadvaita Vedanta and Advaita Vedanta. Because Vedanta means what? End portion of the Veda. And commentaries are available on all the all the 11 Upanishads by all the three great acharyas. So Madhvacharya ji for Dvaita Vedanta, Ramanujacharya ji for Vishishta Advaita Vedanta and Shankaracharya ji for Advaita Vedanta. All of them will speak about oneness. Dvaita Vedanta will speak about oneness that in a different way, obviously, not absolute oneness. So God is always there and you are the servant of God. You belong to God. You have no independent existence. You belong to God. Tasya tvam asi. Tattvam asi is split by them as Tasya tvam asi. You are God's. Vishishta Advaita Vedanta will say part and whole. The part, you are Amsha, Ishvara is Amshi. That is also one only. But Advaita Vedanta will say, no, there is no part, there is no whole, upadhis are all illusory, there is only absolute oneness. Tattvameva, tvameva, tat. Eva means that, nothing else, only that. Tattvameva, tvameva, tat. And to emphasize it is said twice. Otherwise it is one Mahavakya. Tattvameva itself is a Mahavakya. Then tvameva tat. So don't think whole Mahavakya is Tattvameva tvameva tat. No, Tattvameva is one Mahavakya. That same thing is again said, tvameva tat. To emphasize that there is not even any small scope of duality is there. Nothing, no duality. Only absolute oneness. So that is this, Tattvameva, tvameva tat. The reason why the Mahavakya is required is, If I think of myself as a jiva and I think that Atma is Sachidanand, then this oneness is not experienced. The fire of knowledge, what was said earlier, Pasham Dahati Panditaha. The fire of the knowledge of this absolute oneness destroys the Jiva Bhav. And if Jiva Bhav is destroyed, Ishwar Bhav also is destroyed. Then what remains? Tattvameva Tvameva Tat. That is absolute oneness, and that is why Upanishad is required. Advait Vedant standpoint. From Advait Vedant standpoint, Upanishad is required for that. And Guru is required to teach this Tattvameva Tvameva Tat. Satguru, a realized master. From them, when we listen to this, when we are tuned, then realization happens. Tattvameva Tvameva Tat. So now, having said this, as I said, the different milestones are there. So till here now, somebody who has not understood, logic has been given, now realized. After this, Tattvameva Tvameva Tat, realize. If somebody has still not understood, now logic cannot be given. Because logic has already been given. Now come verses on contemplation. That the person has to reflect on what the logic has been given till now. And now the verses which come, they are exclusively to only contemplate. To negate I am not the jiva, to negate the feeling that I am the jiva, and assert I am Brahman. These verses that come now, they are one of the favorite portions of the Kaivalya Upanishad for Gurudev. He used to tell us to memorize these verses. The verses which come now from 17 onwards, many of them will end with Tad Brahmadvayam Asmiham. Some of them will end with that, not all of them. So he used to say, memorize this and use this in contemplation. Now let's see, 17th mantra. Jagrat Swapna Sushuptyadi Prapancham Yat Prakashate Tad Brahmahamiti Jnatva Sarva Bandhai Pramuchyate. Earlier one line came, Vedanta Vijnana Sunishitarthaha Sannyasa Yogad Yataya Shuddha Sattvaha. So that Sannyasa Yoga, what was given there, contemplation. For that all these mantras are there now. What is contemplation? To absorb the meaning of the mantra by lifting the mind to that state conveyed by the mantra without using logic, without bringing more words into play. If I have to bring logic, then I am not doing contemplation. What I am doing? Reflection, mananam I am doing. In dhyan, suppose we say Jagrat Swapna Sushuptyadi Prapancham Yat Prakashate. I don't have to sit and think, I am that consciousness which illumines waking, dream, deep sleep. How does this consciousness illumine waking, dream, deep sleep? So in the waking state, all the experiences that I go through are because I have the awareness I am. Otherwise, we will not be able to experience the world. These all words don't have to come. These all have to come when? While we are reflecting, while we are understanding, while we are trying to clear the doubt at that time. Then what to do in contemplation? Jagrat Swapna Sushuptyadi Prapancham Yat Prakashate. I am that illumining consciousness which illumines the three states. Bas, stay with that awareness, I am that consciousness. No analysis, no verbalization, no logic, no commentary on this, nothing. Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam, that is called in the Gita. Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. In the 13th chapter values it comes. Tattva Artha Darshanam. Tattva Artha Darshanam. To know the Artha, we have to do Mananam, but to live in that state is Darshanam, vision. So, Jagrat, so what is the meaning of this mantra now? Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. Waking, dream, deep sleep. And Adi is also said. Swamiji, why is Adi said there? I thought there are only 3. Why etc. is added? Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, Adi. Adi to indicate the other in-between states also. Between waking and dreaming there is an in-between state. Between deep sleep and waking also there is an in-between state. All the in-between states. So all that, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, Adi. Prapancham, this world. World is called Prapancha. Why? Because it's made up of Pancha Mahabhut, which means it is Jada. So this Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, the world of Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti is made up of Jada Vastu. What is that which enlivens it? Yat prakashate, which illumines it. Now what is the meaning of illumine? So if we say this light is illumining, what is the meaning of light is illumining this? Whatever is in presence of this light becomes known because of this light. If the light is switched off, all lights are switched off, then we don't know what is. Once you put on the light, then everything becomes clear. Objects, they depend on the light, or the light depends on the object? If the objects are removed, will the light still illumine or not? But we are funny people. We say that this body, mind, intellect, if we transcend, then there is nothing. Meaning you remove all the object, then light is gone. How? And in whose light do you know that there is nothing? That is another question. How do you know there is nothing? Someone is there to know, no, there is nothing. First person who came into the class, what does the first person say? Nobody has come. To say nobody has come, somebody should have been there. Nobody can't say nobody has come. Only somebody can say nobody has come. So if you say nobody, there is nothing there, so who is there to say that there is nothing? So this illumination is such that it does not depend on the object. So Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, they come and they go. They by themselves don't have any awareness. So waking state, what we saw now, the description of the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. Who is the waker? Consciousness identified with the BMI is become the waker. So how do we experience the waking state? Do we experience the waking state in that there are objects, people, situations by themselves, or do we experience waking state only when there is awareness here that I have woken up and now I know, I can perceive, I can see, I can hear, I can smell, I can taste. The consciousness becomes the, what Gurudev used to say, perceiver, feeler, thinker, like that. You know? Why he used to do? So that people who are asleep can wake up. What happened? They are doing now. The point is, without this consciousness, this BMI, will it perceive? By itself it cannot perceive. This table doesn't perceive anything. Sukshma Sharir is not there, consciousness doesn't enliven it, so there is no identity, so it cannot experience anything. But every other jiva, which is sentient, can experience. Depending on their equipment, their experience will be different. But all of them experience the world. Why? Because of this. So illumining means that which makes knowledge possible. The feeling of I am and I know, that is called illumining. Don't think illumining means one bulb is there inside and that bulb goes on. It's not like that. This bulb we can switch off. This consciousness we cannot switch off. Mind we can switch off, but consciousness will still be there. Now, through this waking state, consciousness is experienced by us as perceiver, feeler, thinker. Through the body, through the senses, mind, intellect. Now, how does consciousness enliven the dream state? Body we are not aware, intellect we are not aware of. But the mind is able to project the whole dream world. How? Because the mind is enlivened by this consciousness. So in the dream also we have same experience or not? Does anybody feel I am not in the dream state? All of us feel what? I am in the dream and I am experiencing so many things. So it illumines the objects of the waking also, it illumines objects of the dream also. But Swamiji, in the deep sleep there is nothing. No objects are there, neither of the waking nor dream. Still I know. May not be in the dream state, I know, but the registration of absence is happening or not? Like if all of us go away, this light is there, it will still illumine the absence. Suppose there is one CCTV camera here. Nowadays that is a better example. CCTV camera is here. Then it will record everything. We are here, it will record. We are not here also, it will record. Again we come back, again it will record. Everything it will record. The limitation is that CCTV actually does recording. Don't think consciousness is doing recording. Consciousness is the presence. Whether thoughts are present or absent, it is the enlivener. So I know is also known by us in waking and dream because of consciousness. And I don't know also is illumined by consciousness only. How do I know that I don't know? It's only because of this consciousness. So Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti Adi, Prapancham Yat Prakashate. Now that consciousness, is it only inside me? And consciousness in me is different from consciousness in you? See, yesterday we went to Kapil Muni's ashram, no? In Sankhya philosophy, Purusha is different in each individual. That's why we in Vedanta, we very easily say all this, there is only one consciousness in all. But if you analyze other schools of philosophy, they don't believe in that. They believe that Purusha is different in each one. Vedanta says, no. There is one consciousness only, infinite. So, Tad Brahma Aham. So, know that consciousness is Atma to be that Brahman, which illumines the whole world. Tad Brahmaham iti jnatva sarva bandhai pramuchyate. One will be freed from all bondage. All bondage means what? The root cause of bondage will be finished, so all other bondage gone. Avidya is gone. Gnatva means by knowing. So knowledge will destroy the ignorance of the self. And it is ignorance of the self because of which we have this false identification with the BMI, and then we are the Karta, Bhokta, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. The whole Karma Chakra, the entire thing will be burnt, finished. Gnatva, having known. Please remember the word Gnatva. It is not said Kritva. No amount of action will liberate us. Action is necessary to purify the mind, that is all. At some point in time, when the mind is purified, one has to withdraw from action and sit and contemplate. To Uddhav, Bhagavan said, now enough of your Kshatriya Dharma, you did lot of work with me, now I am departing from this world, you go to Badrinath and you contemplate, no need to do your duty. But to Arjun, what Bhagavan said, nothing doing, you can't run away, you stay here, do your duty, you are not ready for that yet. Both are Kshatriyas only. Both have grown up with Bhagavan. To one he says you stay here, to one he says you go. At some point when Arjun will become ready, then Bhagavan will tell him also, now you retire, go, sit quietly and contemplate. So, Gnatva. Karma can prepare me, but liberation will not come through karma. Ultimate liberation will come only through Jnanam. That's why Shankaracharya ji says, Jnane naivatu kaivalyam. Only through Jnana the state of liberation can be achieved, not by karma. Oh Swamiji, earlier you said Tyaga, now you are saying Jnana. Decide one thing, Baba. How many times you keep changing? How much you drilled into us, Tyage naike, Tyage naike, Tyage naike. Now he says Gnatva, Gnatva, Gnatva. What is this? I think you are being very moody. Whenever you feel it is anything, whatever you feel like. Maybe Upanishad Rishi at different points in time was going through different things. So he wrote different things. No. By doing Tyaga only Jnana rises. Same, there is nothing. If I do the Tyaga of this attachment to BMI, then Jnana that I am Brahman will rise. It is one and the same. There is no difference. Karma will help me to purify the mind so that Tyaga will happen. How interesting is that? Karma is required to do Karma Tyaga and Kartritva Tyaga. That's why Gurudev used to say, work, what he said? Act to become actionless. His words are very nice. Act to become actionless. Worship to become the worshipful. Very beautiful words. Act to become actionless. We are acting to create more action, more karma bandhan. But Karma Yoga will help me to act to become actionless. So Gnatva is the important word. Tad Brahmahamiti Gnatva. That Brahman is this Atma, which illumines the waking, dream and deep sleep, is the Atma. See, all these contemplative mantras, they all are having the Mahavakyas. This is a Mahavakya again. That Atma, which illumines waking, dream, deep sleep, is that Brahman. Any mantra or a statement which reveals the oneness of Atma and Brahman is called Mahavakya. One more here. Tadbrahmahamiti Gnatva Sarva Bandhai Pramuchyate. Freed from all bondage. So this one can contemplate. When one uses this for contemplation, what one does? Slowly one repeats. Jagrat Swapna Sushuptyadi Prapancham Yat Prakashate. Now lift the mind to that state. That consciousness which enlivens waking, dream, deep sleep. So even this experience of meditation, these words I am chanting are enlivened by consciousness. I am that consciousness. See, I am saying these words to explain. You don't have to say these words. Say that I am consciousness. If the mind thinks of something else, again start the words. Jagrat Swapna Sushuptyadi Prapancham Yat Prakashate. What is the illuminer of these three? Any thought rises, ask, who is the illuminer of this? Consciousness. I am consciousness. That's all. That all has to be done in contemplation. Swamiji, why can't we do that directly? Why this all reflection and listening and logic and group discussion? Just I will sit and meditate. Itna hi karna hai na. Jagrat Swapna Sushuptyadi Prapancham Yat Prakashate. Karenge utna. Conviction doesn't come because I have to say I am not the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. I am not this PFT. I am consciousness. Start doing, then one will know. People say na upvas karna, ek hi din karna, kaun si badi baat hai, to kar lenge. Start doing, then hunger pang will come. That time only one wants pani puri and chole puri and samosa and aloo tikki and everything. We start doing Jagrat Swapna Sushuptyadi Prapancham Yat Prakashate. The moment you say Jagrat, the mind will go somewhere. Tata Jagriti Yatra, 20 years back I went. What an amazing experience it was. From Jagrat it went to Jagriti Yatra, all over India travel. From travel to this friend I met, and that is how we got married, and that is how I got stuck in this samsara bandhan. What are you doing? Jagrat Swapna Sushuptyadi. The moment some other thought comes, what should I say? Who is the illuminer of this thought? I. Consciousness. I am that. Bas. So neither Jiva Bhav is increased, nor further thoughts I am thinking. I stay as Chaitanya Swarup Atma and I negate the Jiva. That is what we have to do. Contemplation. Now, next mantra, 18. त्रिषु धामसु यद्भोग्यम् भोक्ता भोगश्च यद्भवेत् तेभ्यो विलक्षणः साक्षी चिन्मात्रोऽहं सदाशिवः. Trishu Dhamasu, in the three realms. Oh, what are these three realms? Bhur Bhuva Suva Swamiji. Right now we are not talking about Bhur Bhuva Suvaha. What are we talking about? Jagrat Swapna Sushupti. Jagrat Trishu Dhamasu Yad Bhogyam. Whatever are the objects of enjoyment. Oh, three realms, where are objects of enjoyment? Waking and dream, there are objects of enjoyment. In deep sleep, where is object of enjoyment? So the object of enjoyment is not there like the waking and dream state, but there is avidya which is there, ignorance which is there in that state. And what we spoke earlier, the absence of all the agitation. So there is an experience of the bliss, Anandamaya Kosha, that is. So it is not equal to the other objects where we see tangible objects, gross world or in dream world. It's not like that. Trishu Dhamasu Yad Bhogyam. Then Bhokta. In all the three worlds there is a Bhokta or not? The Bhokta of the waking state is called what? Vishwa. The Bhokta of dream state is called Taijasa. Bhokta of the deep sleep state is called Prajna. So Trishudhamasu Yad Bhogyam Bhokta Bhogascha Yad Bhavet. The experience of the enjoyer and the object of enjoyment coming together is called Bhog. Bhogyam Bhokta Bhoga. The object of enjoyment, the enjoyer, and the enjoyment. That is called Triputi. The seer, the seen, the seeing. Meditator, meditated, and the meditation. So every experience we have these three. Right now you are listening. So the listener in you, if you are the waker, if you are in the waking state right now, then there is a listener in you who is active. That is the Bhokta. What is the Bhogya? The sound that is coming. That is the Bhogya. Now that sound is falling on your ears and the mind is recognizing it. There is an experience. That is called Bhoga. So every experience has these three. Experiencer, experienced, and the experience. All the three will be there. In all these three, what is most important? Experiencer, experience, and the experience. In that, what is most important? Experiencer is most important. Pakka. Think properly. Logic is perfect. Experiencer only is the most important. But how are we living? Experienced is more important. Which car I have, which bungalow I have, which phone I have, and which clothes I have, and how I am looking, and what all we go on doing. Object becomes more important than the experiencer. The quality of the experience improves by improving what? The experiencer or the object? Mainly the experiencer. Object also one can improve, and one should improve in time. There is no problem. By improving the objects, experience can be enhanced. No issue. But by improving only the object, can the experience be improved? No. What are we doing? Phones are becoming smarter and we are becoming duller. Really? We remembered so many numbers before, na? Now all numbers are fed into the phone. If the phone is gone, one is absolutely helpless. One doesn't know अब किसको phone करूँ मैं. Now imagine, suppose you were lost in the forest somewhere. Phone is not there. Which at least one number you should remember. No, Swamiji, I've saved ICE. There is one ICE in my phone. It is called in case of emergency. Arey, but phone hi gaya hai. In here, one has to remember, no, that we are not improving the experiencer. That experiencer in us is deteriorating. So in life, all the three are there. Trishudhamasu yad bhogyam bhokta bhogascha yad bhavet. Now today, I think I am the experiencer. Now think about it. I am not even focusing on the experiencer to make this experiencer better. Vedanta is saying, Arey, you are not this experiencer, you are Tebhyo Vilakshana. You are different from all the three. I am not the experiencer, the Jiva. I am not the experience, the world. And I am not the experience between the Jiva and the world. How it is like that? So, when it is said, Bhogya, I am not the Bhogya. That is easy to understand, no? I am not the Bhogya. Yes or no? Think, Baba. Carefully you think. It's very interesting. Till the object is outside me, no? I am not the Bhogya. But the moment it comes inside me, I am that. Tattvameva tvameva tat. Till that Rasgulla is outside, I am not Rasgulla. But when that Rasgulla is gone inside, I have chubby cheeks, I am that. So cute. What is that? Rasagulla. One side Rasagulla, one side Gulab Jamun. That is only this. What else is this? Stop eating all the dairy and everything, this will become flat. All will go inside. That Bhogya only has become this Bhokta. So outside when it is there, I am not Bhogya. But inside when it comes, I am only that. That is called Maya. Vedanta is saying you are different from all the three, Baba. You are not the Bhogya Vastu because Bhogya Vastu is different from you. Drishya, whatever is seen, is different from the seer. But there you have to put one star, asterisk above that. Seer is different from the seen. As long as seer and seen are different, the moment seen becomes the seer, seer has become the seen. Tattvameva tvameva tat. As long as Rasgulla and the enjoyer are different, correct, no problem. The moment Rasgulla has become one with the eater, Rasgulla is the eater, eater is the Rasgulla. Over. Now don't think of Rasgulla whenever you think of Tattvameva tvameva tat, okay? It is meant for realizing Brahman absolute oneness, not Rasgulla and your oneness. Otherwise you will say, that was very nice, Swamiji. I understood. What is Tattvameva tvameva tat? I am Rasgulla, Rasgulla is me. No. But that's the trick Maya is playing. So I am not the Bhogya because Bhogya is changing and Bhogya is continuously, it is perishing. It is different from me. Then am I the Bhokta? I am not even the Bhokta. Why? Because this Bhokta also is changing. At lunchtime, everybody was very enthusiastic. Arey, today stream visit, we will go stream visit. From the first day we have been waiting to go to the stream. And then 3 o'clock, dhar. So much rain started. Then one says, nahi ja sakte abhi, stream visit nahi ho sakta hai, gone, khatam, chhod diya abhi. So at one point this I was very happy and other point this I is got disappointed. That I keeps on changing. Who is the Sakshi of that? Is this. So this Bhokta also is changing, Bhogya also is changing. Gurudev used to say this BMI is constantly changing. That's why this Bhogya is changing, Bhokta is changing, no? Every 7 years as though we have a new body. This mind goes on changing its emotions. So many people would have done this. Coming, not coming, coming, not coming, coming, not coming, finally landed up here. It goes on changing, no? Intellect also keeps changing. So then PFT will change, obviously. So Bhokta also is changing. This Bhogya also is changing. If between these two factors there is a connection, that experience will also change or not? Obviously, that will also change. How can these two changing things produce changeless happiness? It is not possible only. So all these are different, changing. Bhokta is also changing, Bhogya also is changing, the connection between both of them, that experience also is changing. If that experience was not changing, we would have big problem. You think about it. First Rasgulla you eat, you have happiness. If that happiness doesn't diminish at all, will you stop eating Rasgulla? Kitchen will have big problem कि खाते ही जा रहा है ये रसगुल्ला कितना बनाएंगे? Because it decreases and this stomach has whatever limitation, so we will stop. So the experience also changes. Now when all this is changing, how do we know the changing? Is it possible to know the changing without a changeless truth? So if so much is changing, then who is the knower of that change? Tebhyo vilakshanaha. That knower of that change has to be different from the entire realm of change. If this knower of change also is a part of this changing realm, then can we know the change? No. If I am drowning in the river, today we went to that stream, full muddy brown color water. We can't dip in that. So we stand on the banks and watch. Nicely, beautifully that water is flowing, muddy water. We can take photograph, video, everything. Suppose I slip and fall inside that. Then, gone. Devahuti river will carry me and throw me somewhere. Then it is not possible to know. So, there has to be a changeless awareness to see the entire realm of the changing. That is the second line. Tebhyo vilakshanaha sakshi. Who is the Sakshi? Sakshi is the uninvolved, uninterested, unaffected observer. That is the definition of Sakshi. Uninvolved. If I get involved in it, I cannot be changeless and witness. Even in the world it happens. No, who is a Sakshi of a crime? Who is not a part of the crime? Somebody's accident happened. The person who was standing on the footpath saw that one car went and hit the other car. So that person is uninvolved in that. Unaffected by that also. No, Samri, sometimes it affects. Oh, that's a limitation of example, Baba. So uninvolved, unaffected, uninterested. In this context, uninterested. Is the movie screen ever interested in which movie is going on? How many days it has completed? How many crores it has grossed in the first 2 weeks? Nah, not interested only. You do whatever projection. I don't care. Sakshi is like that. Whatever happens to BMI, if it is there, good. If it is not there also, it is still there. In deep sleep, no BMI, still it is there. It doesn't get affected. Ki, isko kya ho gaya? Criminals BMI also the same consciousness enlivens, and saints BMI also same consciousness enlivens. Tebhyo vilakshanaha sakshi. Our problem is this sakshi in us we can experience only when we detach from the BMI. That detachment with BMI is not happening. And at the same time, I don't want to use the form or any other support to make the mind quiet. So many meditation techniques, they will tell you proudly, nothing to do, just be. Just be means what? No, just be. It sounds very nice, but what to do in that just be? See, that question itself, what to do, is an indicator of Rajoguna. Because there is nothing to do. I am already the Sakshi. Gnatva was said, no, earlier, not Kritva, Gnatva. But for that, the mind and intellect must be so subtle that one can detach from this and abide as the Sakshi. Please remember, Sakshi doesn't mean just be. It means detach from the BMI and identify with the self and remain as the witness. That is the initial Sakshi Bhav practice which has to be done. Whatever is coming, say, I am the Sakshi, I am not a part of this. So I am not going to encourage that thought, that feeling, that action, nothing. If body is acting, I am a Sakshi. If the body is still in meditation, I am Sakshi. If the thoughts is coming in meditation, I am Sakshi and I withdraw. So the thought doesn't increase. That abhyas of retaining, coming back to that idea, I am a Sakshi, I am a Sakshi, I am a Sakshi, that is Sakshi Bhav sadhana in the beginning. If one's mind has become highly purified, Vishuddha Sattva is there, no? Then that person can just be. Where the person doesn't have to do any more detachment from the thought, because the thought doesn't arise only much. Even if it arises, the person says, I am that only. Today, for us to say, I am the Sakshi is effort. To remain as a Sakshi is effort. Again the mind jumps back. Again it starts thinking. And especially in the times of, in the thoughts where attachment and aversion is involved, there to remain a Sakshi is most difficult. That requires Sattva Guna only. Then attachments have to reduce. So, Tebhyo Vilakshana Sakshi. Aksha means to see. Sakshi means to see clearly. Unbiased observation. See, the word Sakshi itself is so beautiful. So many things about Sakshi Bhav will reveal just through the word Sakshi. Uninvolved, unaffected, uninterested observer. 1. 2. That which sees very clearly without any conditioning. The mind sees through conditioning. Intellect sees through conditioning. The Sakshi Bhav sadhana is that I am the pure consciousness. The intellect holds on to that thought and does not encourage any other thoughts. So there is no clouding. The jiva has a clouding. Sakshi doesn't have any clouding. Because I am the Sakshi. I am the illuminer. Thoughts of attachment may rise in the mind because of the past vasana. If I jump into it, then I get colored and I get carried away by that thought process of attachment. But if I say, no, I am a Sakshi, then I won't jump back into it. It will just pass. That is all Sakshi Bhav. So one who sees clearly without any attachment, aversion, one who just sees what is in front, it will see. Will not get involved. And its seeing is not colored. These are two important aspects of Sakshi. The seeing of the jiva is colored. So one is not able to see clearly. The thought comes, we are not able to remain objectively. No, we jump. Mahatmas give this example. If a donkey comes here, will you jump on the donkey? That day the dog came, no? The dog came, moved around here. What will you do? Will you sit on the dog? 60,000 donkeys are coming every day in the mind and we are jumping on each of them. And while doing that jumping, what do we want? Swamiji, shanti chahiye. Stop jumping. No, jumping karte saath shanti chahiye. Mahatmas are telling that only. Shanti, you will get immediately. Tyaga shanti anantaram. Don't jump. Renounce the ego. Stay as the Sakshi. Then Tyaga shanti anantaram. Immediate. So, Tebhyo Vilakshana Sakshi. Then who am I? See, this Sakshi, if I keep doing this abhyas, I am conscious, I am witness consciousness. Then I detach from the scene. So what happens? If I continuously practice this, I am witness consciousness, I am not the jiva, I am not the world, so I am not the bhokta, I am not the bhogya, I am not the bhoga. I am the witness consciousness. The thought comes, chalo, pakoda ho jaye. Who is giving that thought? This jiva, bhogta. What is the bhogya? Pakoda. And what is the experience? The mind is craving for that I eat pakoda. Oh, how nice. Rainy season, hot pakoda. Superb. And mountains view. Nothing can beat it. It's all imagination of the mind. At that time, what do? I am witness consciousness. So the further thought, everything will stop. If I keep doing this, I remain as aham, I am the Sakshi, witness consciousness. After a point, even that I am witness consciousness will go away because there is nothing to witness. So the last part of this mantra says, Chinmatroham Sada Shivaha. Only Chinmatra, pure consciousness, nothing to see. Then Sakshi also is gone. As long as something is there to witness, so long there is Sakshi Bhav. If there is nothing to witness, then I am not a Sakshi anymore. Are you understanding that? As long as I am in a uniform, let us say I am a police officer. As long as I am in uniform of police, I am the police. If I remove that uniform, I am not a police. As long as I am the Sakshi, so long as there is something to see, I am a Sakshi. If there is nothing to see, no Sakshi. Swamiji, how it is possible there is nothing to see? That is the sadhana. Hritsthale manah swasthata kriya bhakti yoga bodhascha nishchitam. Ramana Maharshi said in Upadeshar. To abide in the heart, meaning to withdraw from this jiva bhav and to abide in that state, is the goal of all the 4 yogas. Today thoughts are arising. Why? Because vasana pressure is there. No? Through all the 4 yogas, vasana pressure gets reduced. Then the pressure on the mind and intellect is much, much, much lesser. And whatever vasanas are left, a few of them, they will manifest in contemplation, but I don't encourage. I remain as a Sakshi. Then in that state of contemplation, definitely there is no other thought which is rising. Once I come out of contemplation, prarabdha of the body, some thoughts will come, the body has to live by, it will live. But my identification is I am a Sakshi of that body. I am not the body, I am not the actions, all that. That will continue even in the waking state. So in that state of contemplation, when vasana pressure is less, at a point thoughts will not come. That happens to us now also. But only that it happens to us sometimes. We also become thoughtless or not? In our case, what happens is vasana has become unmanifest for some time because the mind and intellect has become fascinated by something, so thought is not there. For some time. Again it will start. But in the case of the great masters, the great seers, the vasana pressure is not there only. And that's why we say that Sakshi Bhav sadhana cannot be practiced in the beginning. So many people teach that only in the name of meditation today because it sounds very interesting and it is that I don't have to believe in any form, I don't have to do worship, I don't have to chant a mantra, I don't have to do a ritual. So it is more fashionable. So one will do. But eventually what happens? Either one will stagnate or there will be frustration. Why? Because vasana pressure is not reduced. So continuously the thought eruptions are happening. One gets exhausted. How much can I remain as Sakshi? And one is not able to remain as Sakshi. Then one thinks illusorily that I am a Sakshi, I am a witness. So that's why this is important. Vasana pressure is less, thoughts will not arise. Then Sakshi Bhav also gone. Then what is the experience? Chinmatroham. Matra means only that. There is nothing else. No witness consciousness also. Please remember who is the Sakshi? Om reflecting in a pure intellect is the Sakshi. When there is nothing to witness, that Bhav also is gone. The Buddhi has got transcended. Then what remains? Only Chinmatroham. Nothing else. Then Sada Shivaha. It is of the nature of pure consciousness. Most auspicious. Because the vasana pressure is not there, Jiva Bhav is transcended, so there is this Jiva only which makes things inauspicious. Is expert in making things inauspicious is Jiva. Ishvara makes the inert into sentient. The Jiva makes auspicious into inauspicious. Look at that power of Maya. Most beautiful, conducive circumstance will be there. Amazing blessing of Bhagwan will be there. But this fellow will complain. Kya hai? One day also sun did not come properly. Full time it was raining, cloudy, we could not see the mountain view only. Waste ho gaya pura trip. Expert in complaining for anything and everything. Chinmatroham sada shivaha. It is not a state of blankness, it is a state of most auspicious consciousness. So this is what one has to contemplate. That I am that Sakshi, I am not the Bhokta, I am not the Bhogya, I am not the Bhoga. And this can be done in contemplation also, and this can be done while enjoying in the world also. Tomorrow you will go for sightseeing different places. Suppose you see Pong Dam, such a great, nice, beautiful view is there, water is there, and you feel so thrilled about it. The thought can come at that time, at least in sadhana, one can say that I am the witness of this Pong Dam. The mind is the Bhokta, the Pong Dam is the Bhogya, and the enjoyment rising between these two is the Bhoga. I am the Sakshi of these three. If I can practice this with the senses and the mind active, it will become easy to practice when the senses are withdrawn. Swamiji, that will spoil our enjoyment. We don't want to experience at that time Sakshi Bhav. We want to enjoy. While eating that laddu, if it is given to you, if you say, I am not the laddu, I am not the eater, I am not the enjoyment born through laddu, I am the Sakshi, then the laddu ka maja is gone, Swamiji. You have to touch the laddu made from jaggery. Gujaratis make that churma ka laddu. What texture it has, and the ghee ka smell. And hot laddu if it is, then you feel the heat and then you eat it. It just melts in your mouth. Look at that experience, Swamiji, and you are saying at that time practice Sakshi Bhav. It is not possible. You don't know how to enjoy. You learn that from us. Don't teach us Sakshi Bhav. That's why earlier it was said, all those, Vairagya, Vivek, all that one has created, then one comes to this. So if one is able to practice in the waking state, then it will become easy to practice in contemplation. So now this is the mantra number, what? What is the mantra number, Baba? 18 got over. Now the mantra 19. Mayyeva sakalam jatam Mayi sarvam pratishtitam Mayi sarvam layam yati Tad brahma dvayamasmyaham. Mayyeva sakalam jatam. In me everything is born. Mayi sarvam pratishtitam. In me everything is sustained. Mayi sarvam layam yati. In me everything is merged back. It dissolves. Who am I? Tad brahma dvayam asmyaham. That Brahman which is non-dual is me. So this last part of the mantra is very important. In me, which is non-dual Brahman, all this happens. I am that non-dual Brahman. Because this Mayyeva sakalam jatam, Mayi sarvam pratishtitam, Mayi sarvam layam yati can be applicable to the mind also. The mind can say, in me all the experiences of the world are there. As long as the mind is active, world is experienced. When the mind becomes inactive, the world goes back. So some seeker may misunderstand that it is the mind. So the last part is most important for that. I am that Brahman which is non-dual, in which this entire thing rises, stays and falls. Now this mantra, if you think about it, what generally comes to the mind is, there is a separate substratum and something else is rising, staying and falling in it. Right? That's the common notion. But that is not what is meant here. There is nothing separate from the substratum that is rising in the substratum. The rope itself, the snake is rising from where? From the rope or somewhere else. The rope only is appearing as the snake is sustained by the rope and the snake goes back into the rope. the appearance of the superimposition is nothing but substratum only. It's not something else that is appearing as the snake. So we should not think that Brahman is the substratum and something else is created the world, so that is rising in the Brahman, staying in Brahman, going back in Brahman. No, Brahman only is appearing as the world. Brahman only is sustaining that illusion, and Brahman only is going back into Brahman. Just that we are seeing it as different. They are one only. Are rope and snake two or one? From the standpoint of the snake, if we see, then they appear as two. But from the standpoint of rope, there is nothing else but rope only appearing as the snake. So don't think that there is something else that is born. The idea is, Brahman is that in which the Brahman is appearing as the universe, stays as the universe, goes back into the universe. The universe goes back into Brahman. So this Brahman is this universe, appearance. And the appearance is sustained by Brahman only. And when the appearance we withdraw from, where it will go back to? It will go back to Brahman only. The waker's mind only is appearing as the dreamer. So the waker's mind can say that I am the one in whom the dream world is rising, in which the dream world is sustained, into which the dream world goes back. But is that dream world rising separately somewhere? No, the waker's mind itself is appearing as the dream world in the waker's mind only. There's nothing else outside. So inside also there is God, outside also there is God only. There's not something else outside here. Prapancha is Bhagavan only, because the cause pervades the effect. The 5 elements we saw, it came from there. Appearance happens of 5 elements from that only. So whatever is the superimposition is nothing but the appearance of the substratum only. So it's not separate something. Mayyeva sakalam jatam. So as far as the world is concerned, that is the understanding. If we apply it in our context, this consciousness is me. All these thoughts, emotions, perceptions, they rise in me, stay in me, fall in me. Are these thoughts different? Yes, Swamiji, they are about the object. But what is that object? Object also is consciousness only. From this standpoint, from this mantra standpoint, that object is also consciousness only. The seer also is the consciousness only. And beyond also is consciousness only. Just that our attention right now is on the superimposition, so we have forgotten this. The snake is nothing but the rope only. But we have forgotten the substratum, so we think that snake is very real. What this mantra is saying, that think about that rope, which is the creator, sustainer and destroyer of the snake. So shift away from the superimposition, come to the substratum. Mayyeva sakalam jatam, Mai sarvam pratishtitam, Mai sarvam layam yati. Tad brahmadvayam asmiham. This is called Vivartavada, the theory of superimposition or appearance. So this Brahman is not producing the world. Gurudev used to say God is not sitting up in the cloud and manufacturing things and throwing into the world. He is not a creator separate from the creation. Creator only is appearing as the creation. And the creation is sustained also by that only, and it goes back into that. What does it mean? There is no difference between the superimposition and the substratum. Only difference is superimposition is illusory, non-existent actually. Superimposition, if it is non-existent, substratum alone is the truth. What is that substratum? Tad brahmadvayam asmiham. The word advaya indicates that. If I focus on the substratum, then substratum is non-dual. But if I see superimposition, then there is duality. This whole world, there is duality. Body, mind, intellect, there is duality. If I focus on the substratum, there is no duality. This all also disappears. So that is mantra number 19. Now 20. This 20 is full of contradictions. That is one style of the Upanishad. अणोरणीयानहमेव तद्वत् महानहं विश्वमहं विचित्रम् पुरातनोऽहं पुरुषोऽहमीशः हिरण्मयोऽहं शिवरूपमस्मि. Anoraniyan, smaller than the smallest. Anu means atom. This is smaller than the atom also. Modern science discovered it much later. Vedanta said much before that there is something called Anu and there is things which are smaller than Anu also. In Bhagavatam also it comes Anu, Paramanu. Kapil, or that our Kanad Rishi also spoke about it. The Vaisheshikas, Sutras. Anu, Paramanu. And Upanishad have said Anu, Anoraniyan, smaller than the smallest. How can we say consciousness is then smaller than the smallest? Because as existence it is there. It exists, no? That smallest of the particle, atom, or smaller than atom, subatomic particle, anything which is the smallest. Now earlier they said atom is indivisible. Then they said proton, neutron, electron, string, quark, so many things they have said. Whatever it is, the smallest particle also exists. The isness is Sat, Chaitanya Swarup. So that isness is there in the smallest than the smallest. Anoraniyan aham eva. He says, I am only that. I am that Chaitanya, consciousness, existence in that. No, Swamiji, consciousness is not there, atom is inert. Subtle body is not there, that's all. That's why consciousness is not expressing as life, but consciousness is there in it. Existence and consciousness cannot be separated. They are same only. Only that it appears as life in objects which have subtle body. So we see response. Otherwise it is there even in the Anu. If you put subtle body in the Anu, consciousness will start expressing. Right now subtle body is not there, only gross body is there, so it will express only existence, Sat part. Chit and Anand it does not experience, does not exhibit. So it is there in the smaller than the smallest. Anoraniyan. Aham eva tadvat. Mahanaham. And it is bigger than the biggest also. Mahan, vast, huge. What is the biggest here? Space is the biggest. Everything is accommodated in space. Space also exists, enlivened by consciousness. So it is in the smaller than the smallest and yet it is vast. That is the contradiction. Why it is said like that? Physically speaking, can the same thing be smallest and the biggest? Not possible. But if it is said consciousness is there in the smaller than the smallest, then everyone thinks what? It is some small little speck. To negate the false notion, it is said it is vast also. If it say it is vast, then how vast? So one starts imagining vastness. So to not form any concepts in the buddhi, the language of contradictions is used in Upanishads. Smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest. Moving yet not moving. These are all contradictions. By itself nirguna, yet it is the enjoyer of the three gunas. Nirgunam guna bhoktracha. So this language of contradictions, when it is used, it is to ensure that no concept is created in the buddhi about the self. That is called concept-free awareness. Because our intellect learns everything only through some concept. It will make a concept of everything. So this buddhi also, this self also, it will make a concept. So if it does not make a concept, then what will be the understanding? It is smallest, yet it is vast, meaning it is not limited by space. That's the meaning. Meaning it is everywhere. inside, outside, wherever. And this inside, outside also is because of this body, otherwise there is no inside, outside. So it is all pervasive. Now, moment we say all pervasive, our mind also starts thinking in terms of only the geographical boundary of this space. Everywhere here, everywhere here. So it is said it is smaller than the smallest. Yet it is vast. Meaning it is inside, outside, everywhere. There is nothing without it. Basically that's what it means. There is nothing else without it. It only is. Aham eva tadvat mahanaham. Vishwamaham vichitram. And I am only this Vishwa. If we think Vishwa is not God, then that is how we are exploiting the Vishwa. The environmental challenges we have created for ourselves. Why? Because we think that Vishwa is a bhogya vastu. It is meant for our enjoyment. What did our culture say? Vishwa is not bhogya vastu. Vishwa is pujya vastu. It is something to be worshipped. It is the divine Lord. So, Vishwa aham, Vishwamaham, I am this Vishwa. And Vichitram, I am very weird. So, weird is not the literal translation of Vichitra. Vichitra here means most wondrous. Earlier we saw Adbhutam, that is called Vichitra. Mahanaham Vishwamaham Vichitram. Puratanoham, I am most ancient, yet I am ever new. So, if the first two lines, they tell us about consciousness is not limited by space, not limited by any form, because all forms are consciousness. Vishwamaham Vichitram. So it is formless, it is not limited by space. Then Puratanoham says it is not limited by time also. What is most ancient is also there now. Swamiji Chaitanya Swarupatma, which was realized by the great Rishis in Satyug, will I realize that same Atma in Kaliyug? Or will there be some change? Same Atma. Atma is not affected by time. Puratanoham. It is most ancient yet ever new. How can something be most ancient and ever new? Meaning it is not bound by time, it is changeless, timeless, eternal. Always present, which will never become absent. Aham, 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 which means I will never become non-existent. I will not die. How much we have fear of death. Swamiji, I don't know when I will die. But one thing I wish, I should not have pain while I die. Which is okay, that is fine to wish for. But what is Vedanta saying? You are that immortal self which is not conditioned by time. What is conditioned by time and space will die. Because that's the realm of change. Everything in this world is conditioned by time and space, it will die. What type of death we want, if we are wishing, then that is a different thing. That death should be without pain or with pain or whatever. Vedanta is saying, Arey Baba, you are deathless. Why are you thinking about what type of death? Puratanoham, most ancient. Swamiji, are there any updated versions of consciousness? No updated version. Same consciousness. Meaning changeless truth. Infinite, no, there cannot be change in that. Puratanoham. Purushoham. I am the enlivening consciousness which enlivens the Prakriti. Purushoham. Ishaha. Ishaha means Lord. The creator, sustainer, destroyer, all. Purushoham Ishaha. And what is the nature of this? Hiranmayoham. Oh, golden. Chalo, there is one temptation. Gold milega humko. If I realize consciousness, what will I get? I will become like gold. Hiranmayoham. What is the meaning of gold? Hiranmayoham means not golden deer, Baba. Consciousness is not a golden deer. Effulgent. Hiranmaya, effulgent. What? The translation is given as effulgent. Yeah, Hiranmaya translation is given as effulgent, meaning self-shining. Hiranmaya means self-shining. Like gold shines, na? Gold has luster, it will shine like that. Hiranmayoham. What is the last word? Shiva Rupam Asmi. And of the nature of auspiciousness. Because there is no duality there is nothing inauspicious. Shiva Rupam Asmi. So for now, we will stop here and we will meet after dinner again. By then this will become hopefully completed. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.